We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 63. How are you, DC?
Last couple of days have definitely been a little rough, but at least today was okay for the most part, and so far it's been fine. So, again, while it might have been rough, it's definitely been going back on track. Definitely a little better than the last couple of weeks, so that's for sure.
Things slowly get better,
Yeah,
slowly but surely. That's a good thing.
yeah.
What about you, Cole? Outside of that really bad virus you took, what's up with you? How are you?
Doing all right, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so, quick update. We are still searching for our third co-host for the Window to Our Mind podcast. Once we found that third co-host, it will be amazing. We will be able to finally start, and yeah, I'm looking forward to start it once we get to find a regular with us. We have guests. We have a list of people that could be interested. Sadly, it's only a list of guests and no co-host, but we will take what we get, right? Anyway, today we will not cover every single topic we were meant to cover because Cole is not top shape, as you could hear in his voice. We will cover what's left to cover Thursday evening, uh, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that's like 7 p.m. your time, right, Cole?
Yeah, seven.
Yeah. Um, so I guess now we can start with the Last Crusade, that masterpiece, that movie everyone praises because all the others after are worse.
I mean, I don't. I. Are you saying you didn't like it?
I thought it was very mid, like just
Well,
like
then also
the
fuck you,
other.
WC.
Cole got
Uh,
his back blown out by Chad last night. Oh my! Oh
yeah, but
geez, things are getting spicy there.
yeah. I mean, this Indiana Jones film. I mean, I would have to probably disagree. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything, but I think this was definitely an excellent film, and I would say it's either tied with or better than the first Indiana Jones film. I think the some of the flaws that they had in the first Indiana Jones film for its time was improved on in this film. I think it's the one that embraced the franchise in the best way they could and was the best to its style of like what Indiana Jones represents. And I think the acting was pretty good. I think some of the villains were good. Others not so much, but and I think like the costume design, action, production, and all that probably like some of the best in this. And I also actually love the comedy in this. I didn't really like the comedy as much as like the other films as much, but in this one I really like it, and I like the adventure aspects the most in this one. And I think this is the one that has aged the most, the best out of all these. And also, Harrison Ford wasn't perfect in the other ones. He was definitely like phoning it in at times, or he had that weird accent at times. But in this one, I think he definitely did an amazing job with. So that's another bonus that I like a lot about this. And yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah, I think this is pretty much like tied with Raiders for me, but I enjoy this more. I think both of those two are just excellent films, and then I think the second in between it is still solid, but definitely has issues. And then after that, let's not talk about the others. After that, we can just let those die. But yeah, one of you could go next.
All right, I'm probably gonna go next because I'm probably gonna be a lot more positive. Yeah, I had to say I enjoyed this film quite a lot. Definitely more than the last two films. Not saying the last two films were terrible. I enjoyed them quite a lot, and I think they're some of the best movies ever made. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more. I enjoyed mainly the chemistry between Indy and his father because one thing that separates usual like father son like movies compared to this is that Indy and his father don't actually have a good relationship, but it's more hinted that in the film in the beginning, when they show young Indiana Jones as well. And I also enjoyed how it's a lot of development because in the first two films you just think he's just this uh crazy archaeologist professor essentially, but deep down he's something more than that. And I like how in the opening he kind of established he was always like this adventurer, even when he was younger. So it kind of explains who he was later on. I also like how they establish how the whole how India's father like is banters together. Like he's like, "Don't call me Junior." His father always refers to him as Junior, never Indiana Jones or son, which I thought was hilarious. It actually made for some really funny moments. I also enjoyed the scene where they reunite after years, and it's like Indy's father just hits him and doesn't even realize it and doesn't even apologize, which I thought was funny. And it kind of is a way to show their banter. I also enjoyed the villains, like in the first one. Yeah, and I thought that yeah, it's your pretty much typical Nazi person wants to gain more power sort of villain, but I think it still works for the film.
Yeah, it's
Um,
cliche, but it works better in this film than the first. And
yeah,
Sean Connery does a great job with his performance. The other one, not as much, though, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. I also like how the artifact in the film is something Indy's father was always obsessed with, and it kind of caused the rift. And then you see later on near the end, which we'll get to later. But yeah, I also enjoyed how they established a little bit of a mystery with the artifact, and it's not like done in the other two films. The other two films didn't, like, at least Raiders did it where it was like it was known, where this one it was like like mysteriously, and it was involved in like other areas, which I enjoyed. I will also enjoy, I think the creepy crawlies with the rats were a little bit better. Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, but it's definitely done well. But yeah. As for any negatives I have, my one negative, I think this is an issue I should have mentioned with the entire film, but I forgot to mention this. I think that there's a lot of moments you can kind of tell there's like a blue or green screen, but I think that's like the only thing, and it's kind of like noticeable in my opinion. But that's like the only
It was
problem.
the 90s or 80s, so you
Yeah,
have to kind of take it for what it is.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I know. It's just I think there's also some films done during that time where it wasn't as noticeable, but it's not like a huge negative for me.
well, I mean, with the majority of them, yes, but even like the best films from back then that do a better job at it, there are still moments where you notice it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
just how it ages with every film, pretty much. But
yeah,
sort of like Raiders as well. Like I know
yeah,
Multi brought up like certain flaws with Raiders, but again, back then though, those flaws, like that's literally the best they could have done, like physically with the resources on the planet available to make certain scenes like that. So for its time, it's not really a flaw, but yeah.
yeah,
So, but like I would say more, there's definitely cases so where older films, and with green screens and other things are flaws. So even for their times, like I don't know if you remember watching Mortal Kombat, that film, the older one, but good lord, there are some green screen effects in that looks like I'm sure you could do a better job with it in your background right now, like in your garage.
I've heard of that movie, never seen it though. But I think that's one I probably plan to that we'll cover. And I kind
I
of
don't know.
had a
It's pretty solid actually for what it is and
oh
entertaining. Yeah, but there's
Oh.
definitely flaws like that in there. But yes, it's because they realized that for its time that the old Mortal Kombat film they couldn't make it rated R because at the time audiences for video games were still old children, so they wouldn't have been able to see the film, so they had to make it PG. So what they did instead was they went a more like comedic route with it, but also in this one style, and it surprisingly worked. And even with the changes they
Mm.
made, but there's also definitely flaws in it. But what saves it is the fact that it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. I'm just also gonna quickly move on for a bit. I don't think I have a
Sorry for
single.
sidetracking. My bad.
It's fine. It's fine. It actually kind of makes it gives our podcast a lot more fun. But yeah, um, I think I'm done saying all my positives and negatives. I don't really have any negatives. So multi, you can go.
Let's roast the shit out of it. Number one, plot convenience. A rhino was at the right place to help out Indiana Jones. Plot convenience. Indiana Jones trusting a stranger over his own father wiped out proper explanation. Look,
Well, because he
if
doesn't really
we had
trust his father that much.
Yeah, yeah.
if
They don't. They. I. In my defense, I can kind of see where you're going at, but uh, like Indy and his father do not have a good relationship, and it's kind of
Yeah,
established in the film. So
and I
but
can
it's
say as
still a
somebody with a
stranger,
garbage
man.
relationship. No, no, no. I can say with a garbage relationship with my family that if you have a bad relationship with somebody like that, and where you're very annoyed or even hate them, even if it's still your own family, you'll
yeah,
choose a stranger over them just because you're that annoyed and like hateful with
exactly.
them, where you still want to choose a stranger.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a counter argument to that. Um, what if we had a scene somewhere in the movie where, prior to this moment, where we get to see the father really mistreating Indiana? Then I would believe that. I would be like, okay, that's believable that Indiana would rather trust a stranger over his father because the
Uh,
father did something
I think that
despicable.
would kind of be pointless exposition, but also that would also be ruining the point of the film, which is I'm trying to get along again, and with his father not
yeah,
being like
yeah,
as much of an
The rift,
asshole anymore. But also the other
the
point of that is how again with other relationships in real life and stuff, obviously toxic. But in this film, the point of that scene is to show that like maybe back then from when he was a child, he sort of like what you said about like that missing film. He viewed things like differently that with what he remembers and how they actually played out. Like maybe he wasn't as harsh on Indy back then as he thinks, but he thinks he was super harsh or a complete asshole, which then makes him trust a stranger. I think that's like the message of the scene as well.
yeah, yeah. And besides, I'm gonna use the people in my town as an example. Um, it's like if you gave me the choice, would I rather trust the people in my town or let's just say a complete brain nobody who I'd never met, and I would choose a complete nobody because here's the thing: with the people in my town, they're so crazy to a point. It's like you can't even trust a single thing they say. Like I can kind of now look at someone whenever they're saying about their quote unquote problems. I'm like, yeah, they're just making that up, or they're not telling the full story. With a complete nobody, no, maybe parts of it could be true, maybe parts of it are not true, but deep down, I think for some people, when it comes to nobodies, their stories are kind of true. So it's kind of the same thing here. I think Indy just didn't have the best relationship with his father, and because of that, it kind of made him trust a complete nobody or a complete stranger. So I hope that's a better defense for it, but I can still kind of see your points.
like I get what guys are saying, and I agree with most of your points, but my point is more like there's no proper explanation of that rift. They just tell us, okay, there's a rift, and this parts of this movie's team is reconnecting with the father and the son.
I don't feel like they need to give every exposition for every little thing. I think part of some movies and storytelling is to figure it out, yourself with the puzzle pieces. Like I would, there are other points where it is just lazy filmmaking or they, forgot to do things. But I really wouldn't say this is one of those cases because, especially with how the story is throughout, I think they have a clear idea with the relationship, like what they're going for, and with scenes like that.
Maybe I try too hard because I'm a writer, and I would never let that kind of stuff happen in my
Like, I
stuff
think
I
it's
write.
also sort of a bad thing sometimes to over-explain things, and I think that's also something Jaden has an issue with. He needs to over-explain things in the films to the point where it's ruins the flow and tone of scenes that doesn't need it because you can easily figure it out yourself with what the creators gave you. And but Jaden thinks that just because they don't explain it 100%, that it means they didn't actually have an idea on what they were doing, even though they clearly did. So, I mean, and I think this is just one of those instances, in my opinion. But I guess you think differently. That's fine.
Next up would be plot convenience again. The duo finding this secret room by accident by just pushing a wall and flipping, and they overplayed this shit for laugh. Um, and here again, they find after that there's another damn plot convenience. They find by accident the damn stairs. I was rolling my eyes in that entire sequence. I wanted to die. Can't aim. Plot armor on the father. Earlier in the movie, they wanted to kill Jones, yet they captured one without killing him. Can't aim again. Plot convenience. The guy getting shot changed the trajectory. Oh my. This movie. It's better than Temple of Doom for sure, but it's as bad as the first one. Um,
That was bad.
I didn't thought the first one was good, man. Remember, I gave the first one like 6.5.
I thought you gave it a 7, but I mean, I don't.
Maybe I would need to
God,
rewatch my notes, but maybe you're right. Actually, if I really gave a 7,
again,
then
like
this one is worse.
God, I rewatched the your review on the first one, and again, it's like most of the flaws you gave it are like there are some things I cannot completely understand, but most of them were literally like flaws with over like the resources they had available at the time, or like certain I just
Can't freaking aim.
that and yeah can't freaking aim, but again with the can't freaking aim part, again what I would say is that well, okay, with other things, I have a better defense for that. I mean, I can't really defend. Like, that's a thing that has been brought up before. They can't aim. But the thing with the Indiana Jones franchise, though, is that even in the first ones, just like in all of them, they use it as part of the joke. It's like that's part of the joke, the fact that they can't aim or that it's like wonky like that. They even created scenes where they purposely like do it in a stylistic way with like the bullets going in a line and such, which that film did first before others. So it's sort of like part of the joke and the humor of it, unlike others, which just do it because they want to be lazy. So I mean, I think that's one thing you also have to take into account with it. And it's also something that I think you might want to take account into some things possibly in Total Recall because there's
Okay,
probably going to
Total
be
Recall. They at some point they didn't know how to aim, but at other point they were actually smart about it. There's a lot of scene if they did otherwise the movie would be worse, but um,
yeah.
there
Well,
are
well,
still
with
moments
Total
where I was
Recall,
like,
I'm just saying it
"Aim,
because
bitch!"
with Total Recall, no, with Total Recall and the director's other films, Uh, all of those films there by him, they're also comedies, and some of the things you might pick apart in Total Recall as a flaw was probably just part of the joke. And that's also going to be the case when you review RoboCop and other films by him,
Hmm.
where it's part of the things you think are stupid or cliches in it are actually part of the joke. Like they're cliches and stupid because they're making fun of films that do that stuff. And I think that's just one thing
I
that might have
treat
gone over your head.
everything the same way, man. Everything the same way.
Eh, well,
I'm fair, okay? I'm
uh,
fair.
and you're fair, but I'm just saying. I hope I just whether you again whether you liked it or not though. Like again, even if you hear this and you say I didn't like it or I didn't think it worked, that's fine. And because comedy back then in like the '80s and stuff was very different than it is today, but just for reference, so a lot of that stuff in films like Total Recall and RoboCop and Raiders of the Lost Ark are part of the joke. So just for clarification, though, whether you like it or not.
Okay, now I still have a few likes because I think that movie is watchable at least. So, number one, explanation why Indiana Jones is scared of snakes. I'm glad they brought that one up to explain stuff. Opening sequence was entertaining. The boat scene was entertaining. The classroom scene was cool. The meeting with the guy, the lore was cool. Finding the house destroyed gave some mystery. What happened? Funny stamp scene. They were hitting the ground, and the guy was just placing stamps, and he was like, "Oh, okay, my stamp is noisy today." Um, the set was well designed. The action sequence was entertaining. It was funny. The action sequence was entertaining. The movie was entertaining, man. That's all I can say. Um, the father getting shot was sad, even if I knew he wouldn't die. It was still sad. Um, Everything breaking because of the woman. The ending. So yeah, um, I think well, if you're right, and I gave the first one a 7, the first one is my favorite. But if I gave the first one a 6.5, then I'd say this one is actually slightly better than the other one. Anyway, time for the grade out of 10. I don't have much more to say, and I kind of already told mine. It is a 6.5 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
Uh, like an 8.5 or a 9 around that.
Uchi. And what about you, DC?
A 9.5.
My, I sound crazy here with my nitpicks
Because
and
you are. No, just.
trying to roast the shit out of this movie. I'm just fair, man. I treat everything the same way.
Yeah, but
Nothing can.
again, they were part of the jokes, a lot of this stuff, then. I
Yeah.
still strongly disagree about your complaint about, like, trusting the stranger. I think that fit perfectly, but.
Yeah, yeah. Like multi, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I disagree with. I think 99% of your nitpicks, like whenever it's like plot convenience or people can't aim. But I think I disagree. I pretty much disagree with almost a lot of your nitpicks, but I can kind of see why you feel like that.
So
But
I should just turn off my brain and just say, "Oh,
I
that's a
mean,
good movie."
Yeah, well, no, the other things, though, with the things that aren't part of the joke or I disagree with being flaws, such as trust the humor. I'm not saying they aren't possibly flaws, especially other moments in other films where you say they can't aim properly. I
yeah.
just don't think it's a big enough of a one to take points off of it like that because pretty much every film in existence has Like even Triangle of Sadness, you could say has plot conveniences. Like, how did all those people survive the fucking crash and shootings and explosions on the boat afterwards? It's like you
I,
can come up
I
with it
didn't
with
suspend
any
disbelief
film.
there.
Listen, you can come up with it on any film. What I'm saying, because and it's a movie. Some things aren't going to be 100% realistic, or else there
Yeah.
wouldn't be a film. So
I
again, you
still
can point the
treated I still treated the movie the same way as any other movie. I just didn't
Yeah,
find it.
I know. And listen, again, you could point them out and don't say, like, yeah, it's kind of dumb how they can't aim a lot of the time, but unless it's to such an extent where it like ruins scenes and such, I just don't see like removing points from it like that extremely and such. In my opinion, at least with how I do it, like I think that's more stuff like just to point out for fun as like a fan of the film instead of actually like as a flaw that you remove points for most of the time. I mean, there are definitely times over for sure it's bad enough and distracted enough where you do remove points from it.
Yeah.
One example definitely being the logic in Looper with the time travel shit.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it would be like in Mission Impossible 5 or in Rogue Nation, where, you just see Tom Cruise and he's completely shirtless. Even that part, even when I first watched it, kind of took me off. But that's like one of the few coincidences of the plot convenience. I think, and I think the reason why is because when I watch movies, I sometimes turn off my brain. It's not like in Nimona where it's so noticeable. I can literally notice everything what they're doing, and it's so bad. And but yeah, I'm not saying. I mean, what I'm saying is we all kind of have our own like ways of viewing stuff. But yeah, I'm just saying that I probably disagree with like almost all of them, but I don't. I disagree with almost all your nitpicks for like every single film or show. But I don't really consider them main issues because for me, I think I just turn off my brain for them at best, unless they're so bad to a point I can notice them. But yeah.
Sounds like I'm crazy. I think that's the conclusion of that chat.
I
Well,
mean,
I'll be honest. I just think that how do I say? Like, if these things really do like annoy you to the point where you don't like the film very much anymore, then sure. But other than that, like, I I just think like yeah, there are definitely things like you can bring up as nitpicks and stuff if you want. I just think like if the overall film is still enjoyable and well made and such, then I just don't know if it would be realistic on your part to just like for over stuff like the not aim and stuff to be like so drastic where you bring it down to then like a 7 out of 10 or a 6.5, but then still say that you enjoyed it and thought it was well made because
Well,
I do
Blue
think I
Beetle.
do
I
think you
thought
need to
Blue
like
Beetle
level
was
it
a
out
bad.
sometimes.
I thought Blue Beetle was a bad movie that I liked.
Oh well, I mean that one's more understandable because there's a lot of flaws in that, but yeah, again, I think that's just one thing to keep in mind is that if it does truly, then continue doing what you do. But I think it's also just important to note, like after you like think about all that stuff and like lower it to a certain score by removing points. Afterwards, I think you need to like then place it on the table, like with the score it has, and then think about everything else. So, like, is it still enjoyable and well made enough where, despite that, should you then like still like give it points back, like give it
I
like an
only
eight
do
or
that when I
something?
think a score is way too low, and I think 6.5 for this is fair.
Yeah, but yeah, and if you didn't really enjoy it that much, and those things were really distracted to you, then it's fair
It,
for you. But I'm just saying, in another scenario where you think the film's like very well made and you enjoyed it a lot, but there's shitloads of small nitpick stuff like the aim and things, for example, like John Wick 4, then maybe that's a case where you should maybe like give bonus points and stuff to for hand it out or just like not take as many points away from it for that stuff because I do think like it needs to be like leveled out and like it needs to be judged individually differently like that with every film since every film is so different instead of just sticking to one format of how to do things with every film.
Well, sometimes I do change things around. Like, otherwise, I would be like in the minus with Wakanda Forever, and Blue Beetle would be three.
Wakanda forever. Oh man.
And I think Paul Cook and Beer would also be in the minus if I remember
You
correctly.
made me laugh, but because I'm sick, I couldn't laugh, so then I started coughing and like choking on fucking mucus. Good lord.
Oh, poor Cole.
Wakanda Forever, the best example of a bad movie I truly hate.
No, that is the
Yeah.
best movie. You know, you're just a hater.
Maybe. I'm a hater of Indiana Jones. Um, I think if K Dot doesn't show up soon, this episode will be freaking short.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope,
we could do Ahsoka Thursday as well and see if he shows up for it on that day. If he doesn't show up for it
Yeah.
today, we'll see.
yeah, I really hope K Dot shows up. Anyway, um, next topic, I guess, Total Recall.
Yeah, I'll be
Who
honest.
wants to go
So
first on that one?
for this one, I didn't have time to write down notes and such for everything with it. So I'm just gonna let you guys go with this film, and
All right.
I'm just gonna
All right.
be AFK and trying to rest up. And then after this topic, hopefully it'll be well enough then where we could do the Saw films. And then at that point, if K Dots doesn't show up, then we should probably end it afterwards after the Saw
All right.
films. But if he
Yeah,
does, then we could do Ahsoka as well and then end it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So DC, I will let you start on Total Recall and just make sure you have seen the 1991, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw the 1991 film. Yeah.
I specify because that's funny. 11 years ago, when the most recent one came out, I actually had seen that one, but I didn't see the original one. So
Oh.
watching the original one this week for the podcast was quite interesting because I actually forgot the newest one. So that's the
Wow.
backstory. I will let you start on that one.
All right. All right. So I had to say I thought this film was hilarious. Very unintentionally at moments. But yeah. I thought that the whole plot was good. I'm gonna quickly start off with some negatives. Just because I enjoy this film, it does have a few negatives. But yeah, I think my biggest negative is I think the film's main villains' entire plot is honestly so confusing. My brain can't even process. Like I even no matter how many times I try to process it, it's like it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Unless maybe I must have heard it wrong, or maybe my brain wasn't functioning well. But honestly, just trying to hear some of the villains' plot, honestly, it didn't make sense to me. Yeah, that's like the only major negative though. The others I do are a little more minor. Like I don't like that the film has a happy ending. Yeah, no, not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the fact um that it can be a little unintentionally hilarious at moments that you're supposed to take seriously when in reality it just makes you laugh. But those are like more minor at best, so more nitpicks. But yeah, overall, I enjoy this film. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, anytime he shows up or makes an expression, I think it's automatically hilarious. like, and some of the face expressions he makes throughout this film are just so hilarious. It makes the film more enjoyable. Before anyone has a heart attack, I will still say his performance as Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin is still better than this, but this one is fantastic. I also enjoyed I also enjoyed how at first the plot, the twist where he's first with his quote unquote wife before he eventually realized his wife was actually a secret agent. Yeah, and I enjoyed enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the whole Total Recall thing, or the recall thing. Now, this is when I things can get a little confusing when they started playing the whole memory implant stuff, which might have started making things a lot more confusing. And it kind of made me wonder if is the organization like the main villain when they're like in the film for like at least few minutes at best. But yeah, yeah. Other things I enjoyed the fight scenes a lot. I enjoyed all the action, all the shootouts. I thought they were fun and fun, quick pacey films, quick pacey moments. Yeah. I also enjoyed the whole Mars like exploration stuff, which I'm not sure if they're saying that Mars could be like the new Earth, but at least I'm not familiar with those kind of topics. But yeah, I enjoyed how they sort of established Mars as like the new version of Earth, which I enjoyed. Let's see. I also enjoyed some of the aliens. That they establish and how different they are from humans, and yeah, which I also enjoyed. Yeah, I also enjoy that. I also like some of the twists when later in the film where the bad guys were just shooting at Arnold, and yet he gets up and you think, oh, he's an alien or he had these incredible superpowers, but turns out it was just a hologram. And that's one of my my favorite moments of this entire film is the fact that they constantly showcase ways that you don't even expect. Like he escaped situations in ways that you didn't even thought of, which I thought was a brilliant move. Yeah, yeah. And I also enjoy how this film is a more man on the run type film, and he gets help from all these mysterious people that he doesn't know, and he starts to learn more about himself, and which I have to say I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah. I think that's all for me.
Okay, so I will take over by saying yes. At some point, I was like rolling my eyes. I was like, why can't you freaking aim? And then we had this great moment where Arnold basically used someone to shield himself from bullets, and that was clever. Do more often that kind of shenanigans. I like this. Or like they jump somewhere, and like people chasing after them, they shoot, but because they're running, their aiming is not that amazing, and I'm fine with that. But then we got these moments where it's right on your face and you just need to point and shoot and you don't freaking do it. Like you read the script and you want the guy to get away with it. I was really insulted and bothered by this shit. Anyway, that's my tangent there. First issue, plot convenience, the main character having issues at the same time as the girl, the future, the potential client as a meeting going on in the other room right beside him. I was rolling my eyes. I was like, oh, why? It was played for laugh, comic relief, I get it. But that's damn stupid brain rot crap there. I hate this shit. Um, so next up, people can't aim, and people can't aim. Outside of that, I enjoyed that movie a lot. That was a breath of fresh air. And as I said, I have seen the 2012 one, but I kind of forgot about it. And watching this movie was like very fun. Um, so yeah, enjoyable movie. The Nightmare was interesting. Considering it's 1990, I think the CGI was kind of good. Um, and I'm not one to defend or trash CGI usually. The main character meeting with the Doctor was enjoyable because the lore was interesting. Um, Taylor made girlfriend felt really, really real, and like even today we can basically have a robot that has these traits. So that's kind of crazy how sometimes sci-fi it at the right place. That's all I gotta say there. They were smart about it. And I think it's based on a novel as well. Because Philip K. Dick, um, well, he's a writer. So I think this is why, outside of the plot convenience and the few instances where people can aim, I think this is why this movie is actually really good because the source material is most likely very good as well. Um, the action was very entertaining. That was like the best part of the movie, and the gunplay action sequence was very good. As I said, using someone as a shield was really cool. I liked the bar. The actor did their job. The chase scene were really good. And yeah, I don't have much more to say. I was really hooked and invested in the movie from start to finish. So yeah, I think I will let Cole talk if he has something to add to this. I'm wondering if his silence is in purpose or his neighbor knocked at the door or he forgot to unmute himself. Cole, what's going on with you, bro?
Well, he did say he was going to be AFK, so I'm not sure if that's like he's going to be a little busy for a bit, but
We'll drink syrup. What
yeah.
would be your grade out of 10?
An 8.
Oh, we are nearby. I think I would give this movie 8.5. And I'm really curious to hear about Cole's take. I like that movie much more than Indiana Jones, as you can see. And I also think that's a much better movie as well. Like, the plot is just better written. Yeah, the Saw movie are really bad. The fifth and the sixth one are terrible. I don't know what they were thinking when they made these two movies. I cannot wait to roast the shit out of it with Cole. I hope he has the energy to do so.
Yeah, I hope he gets better.
Me too. And you know what's funny? Last week I ate the guts out of Ashoka, and I was probably the only one in the entire internet to eat it because I was able to see through their bullshit. Like, episode 4 of Ashoka had lots of action. That's why people just turn off their brain and they don't really think about how stupid episode 4 was. But I'm not fooled by this shit. Um, and it's funny because episode 5 was much better. I feel like Ahsoka hired like different writer every week. That's hilarious. Because one week I will freaking love this show, and the next week I will hate it. Disney Plus for you, my friend.
Yep, that's Disney nowadays.
And I wasn't shocked. Yesterday, my good friend Advance Warrior from another community, um, he decided to watch Obi-Wan, and I was shocked because he actually liked the show. Oh,
Uh,
hi Cole, you're
you
back.
done? Oh,
So we already gave our grade because you were AFK. So what did you think of Total Recall?
well, I said I'll speak about it Thursday because I have really nothing to say today.
Oh, okay. I guess Thursday.
Yeah, that's why I
So
was just waiting for you to finish up, and then you can tell me.
yeah. Do you have the energy for Saw tonight?
Yeah, barely. After that, I
Barely.
doubt it. But we'll see if K-Dot shows up.
I hope K-Dot does show up. So anyway, DC. Have you seen anything else? No, no, right? Have you?
No, no, I
Okay.
don't. I have not.
So do you want to hear us roasting the shit out of Saw, or you will head out?
I think I have to head out as well. Yeah.
Key. So thank you a lot for coming, man. This week is a very odd week.
Yeah, yeah, which, yeah, sometimes we're gonna have these odd weeks. I think for me, the only times we're gonna have odd weeks would just be if my internet goes down.
What happened?
Yeah,
You
hello?
just gotta adjust.
Yeah, yeah, I just saw my internet went down for a bit, but then it just quickly went up. But yeah, yes, that's what I mean when I meant that now that I'm on my computer, I should have a little bit more technical issues than I was on my phone. But yeah, what I was going to say before the internet was, I think around December, I don't think I'll be available. I think I should only have troubles around near the end or at least middle. And for the another one would be during May. Those are like the only 2 months I should have. Would have some odd weeks, but apart from those 2 months, we should be fine for the most part.
Perfect. Thank you very much again. You are amazing as usual. I'm glad to have you every week, and
Yep.
I'm proud of what we did during 2023. I think that was a really good year, despite real life really being bad for pretty much everyone I know, including myself. Life was rough this year, but like entertainment wise, I enjoyed spending time with the both of you. So anyway,
Yep.
DC, have a great night.
All
Take
right.
care, and we will
Same.
talk later.
Same to you. Bye.
So, Cole, just you and I for the masterpiece that Saw 5 is. Best movie people will see.
Uh huh. Okay. So here's the thing. After Saw 4, pretty much every fan in existence understood at this point that it's a clusterfuck now, and are just gonna see it for entertainment purposes and to see how crazy it gets, which is the right decision at this point. Even the producers themselves literally like ask, "What the fuck are we doing?" and then just do that. So it's whatever. But you have to just take it for what it is there, I guess. But with Saw 5, I think this had a lot of potential to be one of the most entertaining out of all the Saw films, and even sort of intelligent at points. And it sort of was to an extent with the entertainment part. I think the traps with the five people, the other beginning traps, and the whole
You just got off with the old, the old, the old, the
and
old.
oh shit, did my thing cut off? Sorry, did I cut off?
Yeah, the old. You got off
Hello?
after the old.
My bad. Yeah, I sec let it load. Okay, hopefully it can you hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, where did I cut off at?
The old, the old, the old, whoa,
I don't remember where that is. But, whatever. I'm just gonna repeat. But anyway, I again, you heard the part where I said, yeah, everybody pretty much knows it's a clusterfuck now and everything.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's right.
but again,
After that,
with Saw 5, I think this had a lot of potential to be the most entertaining out of all the Saw films, and it sort of was to an extent, even to an extent with being somewhat smart. I think the traps with the five people, the other beginning traps, and the whole cat and mouse game with the new jigsaw. as Hoffman and the detective was a lot of fun for most of it, and it left for some of the more memorable moments in the franchise that ended up happening, especially the ending and the last trap. However, what ruins it this time is, unlike the other Saw traps from before in the other films, which were dumb and easy to beat or broken when you think about it a bit, but are still fairly good and you need to think about it for a bit. In Saw 5, literally every single trap in this entire thing is baby level, even for a Saw franchise's standards, to the point where, unlike every other one, literally everybody knows what's going on in these, especially the trap with the 4 people, where there's not enough room for one of them. So because of that, it ruins all the fun in it, most of it, and a lot of the creativity and ideas in it, because they weren't as creative with it, and it was just bland and basic, like their thoughts on how to make these traps. It was just like baby level. So because of that, it ruined a lot of the fun that at least was there in the other Saw films. Now that being said, it's still better made and more entertaining and embracing itself than a handful of other Saw films, such as Saw 2, Saw 4, Jigsaw, and whatnot. I would say this is in like the upper middle for Saw rankings, but it's still a disappointment because it could have been a lot better. This is like, I think, probably like right in the middle for Saw films, actually. But anyway, the director for Saw 5 though wasn't too good either, but at least they replaced the director of Saw 4, because good lord, those transition scenes and other creative choices by him were terrible and ruined so many scenes. So they didn't shoot themselves in the foot a second time with that, at least. Yeah, I love how they have people make these sounds just because they are wearing a mask as well, even though it's physically impossible for them to make those sounds, but they do it anyway because they think they can get away with it with dumb audiences just because of the mask on them. And this happened again with that fucking scene in the beginning with fucking like Hoffman making those like sounds, but when he's like first like kidnaps the other detective character, then puts him in that fucking box trap with the water. It's like I hate when films do that. It's just a small nitpick of mine, but anyway, the whole plot thing with the box and him somehow escaping it, that was set up for him to die and then erase any suspicion on him, was actually cool and a nice plot for the film, in my opinion, the whole way through. Even if they didn't, do much with it or didn't do as good of a job with it the whole way through, I think the setup and everything and that specific thing was actually pretty cool and well done and intriguing. And I also believe, yeah, he was holding like the one daughter of the guy from Saw 3 when coming out of the building, I think, but I don't remember. But anyway, I will say though, it's too bad this film, just like Todd Phillips with Joker, though, thinks their audiences are too stupid to understand that he's Jigsaw now, or remember how the fucking 4th film ended, because there are so many like dumb transition shots of showing his face on a magazine over Jigsaw's and doing shit like, "I know who you are" on a fucking letter to yell out to the audience that who have fucking dementia or forgot how the 4th film ended a year later that it's him. But in fairness, though, I mean, they're probably right because it's Saw fans, so what do you expect? But anyway, it's funny how the people who get their keys in that one trap, though, who get the keys first have the most fucking trouble getting it unlocked, just so they can have a dramatic scene with them unlocking it at the same time. So, which means it kind of breaks the whole logic of what they were trying to explain. Because imagine if they did realize it was all the same key that can unlock the same thing, and they only did the one thing. That motherfucker took the entire length of time to do it. So it's like, wow, okay. It's like these idiots can't fucking even remember like what they did. But anyway, they really try to challenge your intelligence in this 5th entry with these traps, and we're thinking there's like 3 spots for those 4 people in the second. But again, it's literally the opposite. It like decreases your intelligence watching this crap because they do such a poor job at it. It's so easy and predictable. I also love how the dude in that weird flashback scene just had a gun pointing at that lady and her dog, and she wasn't phased at all. That was hilarious. Yeah, just a normal occurrence. Pointed a gun at me, but anyway, it's also so obvious that because Tobin Bell carried these films, that they're trying to find any ways possible to give him screen time in these sequels with like making flashback scenes that make no sense because they realize he carried the film, so they're just trying to find any way to have him in it more. But also imagine if Hoffman fucking took the stairs instead of that flashback scene. But nope, Jigsaw just is a psychic, I guess. Yep. Anyway, those scenes were apparently even before the flashback scene traps in Saw 1, which is fucking hilarious. Um, and also, they still keep trying to pretend like Jigsaw isn't a serial killer when he sets up traps where one person dies no matter what, still. And with him knowing the fucking outcomes anyway, with his 5 billion IQ abilities, which is hilarious. It's like they're trying so hard to be philosophical by trying to act like he isn't a serial killer and that he just sets it up that people make the choices and that he believes in life and the importance of it. It's like there's nothing philosophical about it. There's nothing to it. He's just a serial killer. Anyway, okay, so this is the fucking fourth time now that they reuse the fucking twist where somebody is helping him the entire time. So like, where was Hoffman that entire time then during like Saw 1 and Saw 2 and such? Because they said he was helping the entire time in the background with Saw 1, Saw 2 traps, and everything else. So it's like, what was he like eating a fucking bagel in the background while Amanda was setting up those fucking traps with him? Like, what? This makes no fucking sense. And also, they did fingerprints in the first and second film, yet only saw. Okay, they said, what was it that they said again? Right, they thought only one person did it, which was Jigsaw, all the traps and such, because they did the fingerprints in the first and second film. However, in these flashback scenes, they show scenes in this where he's helping set up those same traps without gloves or anything, along with Jigsaw, and they're both touching the same exact things. So what the fuck? There should have been two different type of fingerprints that showed up. This is again.
You know what? You just made it worse. I like it. Thanks for bringing this up. The movie just got slightly worse. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I make all the films worse because I bring up so many flaws with these films, but also the twist would have worked better if this again at the end with the last trap with the 5 people. If the fucking second trap wasn't so obvious. The ending is sort of cool, but also dumb. But still cool and iconic, I guess, but still kind of dumb. What I don't get, though, is the voice sounded different with Hoffman in that tape, but then he sounds exactly like Jigsaw in every other tape throughout the series. So was he just, like, tried to taunt him or something and used, like, by sounding like himself more in that tape and then used a voice changer in every other one, or what? Also, he could have he had time. He had a whole 6 minutes to quickly run out of that room with the tape, which was all the evidence, but he decided not to. Decided to just stand there and wait till he showed up. So good job. That made a lot of sense. Thanks for breaking the film. But again, and then he dies. Woohoo! Whatever. This again, another dumb, flawed Saw film. It's I would say this is better than others, such as the fourth, but yeah, definitely wouldn't say this is one of the higher ones. That's all I'll say. But anyway, you can go now.
It's hilarious. I got prediction for Saw 10, the one that comes out this month. I will predict this. Jigsaw prequel. How did he become Jigsaw? The first few traps before he died. Hell yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, it is a prequel film. They confirmed that in the trailers.
I didn't even know it, but okay.
Yeah, it's a pre because I'll tell the story of why it's a prequel film, but it's actually a good idea. It makes sense. So and I'll say why when we get to Spiral, and I'll also explain how it was originally supposed to be Saw 9. That was this, but then they fucking some motherfucker ruined it. So but we'll get to that at a later date, though.
Yeah, okay. So Saw 5 was terrible and it got worse after hearing about your issues. They are true issues that make sense more than the movie itself. So, first issue, the pacing was horrendous. Next issue, too many characters, but that's a trend. Every movie has that. They are just there to die, and you know it. No growth whatsoever. How would Jigsaw know something nobody else knows? Here again, I'm pissed and bothered by it. The writing is crap. Plot convenience. Having enough time to make the next game before both girls come back to Jigsaw. I can't remember what I referred to. My brain was toast after watching this movie. How did Jigsaw know everything about everyone? Plot convenience. The other guy being around to hear the message. Yeah. Um, this movie got worse. Uh, I guess there's a few things to respect. I guess the guy being removed of the case made sense. The cop on the bench realizing the new captain was involved is entertaining. Jigsaw's speech about ending people, life is distasteful. I guess they tried to give layers to Jigsaw. The action sequence was entertaining. The movie course corrects stuff from past movie, but here again, it got worse because fingerprints. Oh my. Um, I don't have much more to say because that movie is terrible. Um, I will give this movie a 6 out of 10 after hearing about these fingerprints because, yes, you're right. They should have found a match outside of Jigsaw. I don't have much more to say about the fifth one. I guess we can move on to the sixth one.
Yeah,
My,
the
the
sixth
sixth
one.
one.
Also, my score, by the way, is like a 4 or like a 3.5.
Oh,
Pretty much all
that's
again, pretty
that's
much every Saw sequel from here on out is like a between a 3 to 4. That's pretty much the range of all of them, and in a good way and in a bad way with some of them in a good guilty pleasure entertaining way, others in just a bored bad way. But that did change with one of them though, which we'll get to in the future, which was just garbage. But anyway, with Saw 6, okay, so this film was directed by the dude who was editing every single film for them, and did an amazing job at that. And it was also his directorial debut, his first film he's ever directed. And you know what? I actually enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed Saw 6. All
what?
right, because here's the
No,
thing:
I
was
don't
it
believe you, bro.
was
No,
it a
no,
good
no.
film? Was it a good film?
I hope it
No,
wasn't. That
no,
was godly awful.
no,
That was the worst
no,
so far, I think.
no. Well, was it a good film? No. Was it still dumb and everything? Yes. However, here's the thing: the dude realized the franchise is dumb at this point with a billion dumb sequels, and that it's just all stupid now and makes no fucking sense. So he decided to just cut all the boring bullshit and all the scenes with them trying to be intellectual but failing, and stop pretending like this is something that it's not, like some Oscar-winning film, and just make it a super entertaining film for the fans and for audience members. And you know what? It worked. You might disagree, but you know what? It worked. And most people online agree. All right, like all those traps in this film were actually very creative this time. These were some very creative traps this time, unlike others that were pretty shit, especially last fucking film that were some of the most fucking boring traps ever that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life in the Saw franchise. They were all so fucking basic, like a fucking 4-year-old came up with them. And this one, actually very creative ones. And they were all very well done, I would say. And there were also many hilarious moments, like just like how the first Saw film had good comedy in it. This also had some good comedy in it, especially the "I'm pregnant, no, she isn't" scene. I laughed so fucking hard at that. It's like, hey, how do you know? And it's like, and yeah, and also the character and goal with the traps in this are also pretty interesting, even if it even if it isn't well done, obviously, or it fully works with the first guy having no chance as a smoker, which is unfair, and also what would happen if he somehow won? That would be pretty awkward. But also having him make the decisions on things in a weird way, like, oh, this guy doesn't have a family, which means he deserves to die. It's like, what? No, but nonetheless, the idea of it and a lot of it was still done in an interesting way, and it was also done in a fun way. Like now, unfortunately, this is when the franchise at the box office went downhill, and the reason why is because Paranormal Activity came out this year, so it overtook it. But again, it's just hilarious and ridiculous. Also, how it can still learn traps easily from just looking over Jigsaw's shoulders in the flashbacks. It's like the dude isn't a mechanic or anything. He knows nothing about how to make these traps, but he could just learn easily from just looking over Jigsaw's shoulders while he's making the traps in the flashbacks. That's hilarious. But also the ending was also intense and interesting with him getting out of the trap. I actually loved how they did that, because again, they've been throughout the entire franchise, they've been teasing that trap. In the first film, it was shown, and it was the one trap somebody got out of, and it was the most iconic trap in the franchise. And ever since then, they've been teasing it and never showed it fully. And then you think they're finally going to go to do so here and show finally a death with it and with the ending. But then he unexpectedly gets out like that in a pretty fucking creative way. And I actually like that about it. I actually thought that ending was pretty genius with it. And also that scene with the bitch with the fucking glasses and Jigsaw's wife, though. That was the worst acting I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. But anyway, now I do love the one trap, again, with all the people, though, on like the, I forgot what you call it, but going around in the circle, because I think the ending with it was pretty well done, and it's actually something that they did a good job with, because what they basically did there was they showed his fucking emotion. But by the way, the lead actor going through all the traps in it, he also did a good job with his performance, I would say. I actually think he did a good job with his performance, but like in traps like that, you can see his emotion and him just like giving up and like not wanting to do this anymore. And at the end of that one trap with all the people, he doesn't even look at who he chooses at the end of it, which shows he doesn't want to play the games anymore or determine people's lives, which he did before in his job profession. And I think was actually a very well done and smart message there in that last trap there. And I also, the performance by the one guy who got shot at the end of it was also pretty good. I think that was also really well done. So yeah, also the scenes where they decode the fucking voice and then him just going on a fucking stabbing spree was fucking hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, so okay, wait. So now so here's the other thing. They realize now the dumb shit that was in Saw 3. So they tried to make it canon that she was actually blackmailed by Hoffman in doing so. This is just another example of the Saw franchise adding shit later on to try and correct mistakes fans pointed out in an earlier film to try to act like it's all connected. But it isn't. You came up with it last second to try to fix an error, and this makes no sense. But anyway, so now we have another fucking twist where Jigsaw's wife is told to kill Hoffman and be the next like fucking Jigsaw or whatnot, and to avenge both him and Amanda. But wait, if he knew that already and before he died and wrote all that and had that trap set up in the box, then he would have known this and what Hoffman was doing before Amanda died and was shot with her being blackmailed. So why did he not try to save her and say you or just by just saying you do not have to kill her in the third Saw film? But what? And that's I guess people say, well, he was too weak after surgery, or he was still angry, with her making unbeatable tracks. But I'm sorry, it's still dumb. Like, what the fuck? Oh, so wait, okay, so now let's get this straight with all the people he employed. So he employed that dude at the beginning, who then employed Amanda before that, but then employed Hoffman before that, but then employed his wife before that to do all these traps with him. What the fuck? Kill me. How many more fucking layers is gonna be? What the fuck?
Soon we will learn that his dog was in the coup. Yeah, the dog, and the dog was like sniffing around the victim.
The Scooby Gang, hell yeah. Fucking hell. And also the twist at the end was pretty fucking funny. But pretty smart though. Actually, I think it was actually a smart twist at the end. With it not being his game to play. But I will say though, what's the point of it? Because they failed their test by not forgiving him. And after he went through everything and realized his flaws. However, nothing bad happened to them by failing, unlike all the other things throughout the film. So what the fuck was the actual point? I'm so confused. So by the way, that kid who pulled the switch, he was in Oppenheimer. He was one of the supporting characters today. He was the one character who was like vomiting beside the bicycle when Cillian Murphy was imagining that shit after his speech and after the bomb dropped, if you remember that character in it. Yeah, that was him. And he was also, I guess, fucking that Roderick character in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which is hilarious. But anyway, overall, as you can see, there's still a lot of dumb shit in this film that makes no sense, obviously, and some bad acting and such. But you know what? There's a lot that actually was well done in this, unlike every other Saw sequel. And it was actually entertaining and a blast. And they actually did a good job with a lot of aspects. So you know what? This is one of my favorites.
Bro, I was bored. I wanted to die when I was watching this.
They had so many entertaining traps in this one. Bro, I disagree. I think this was an entertaining film that embraced itself and understood the Saw franchise where it's at right now. And I think they did a good job, and I think the director and editor did a good job. And I think this is honestly, to God, like the second best Saw film, because all the others suck as well. But this at least did the best job with being an entertaining guilty pleasure, while also doing some intellectual things right and some good acting. So I think this is the best Saw sequel so far and to date.
Oh my. Okay.
And now my fucking voice is dying, so you can go.
Okay. Time to roast the shit out of this crappy movie. Pacing. Too many characters again. The sound was dog shit. Unbelievable that the accomplice was enough to capture everyone involved. The guy leaving all proof behind feels wrong. Other cops playing along despite thinking he's guilty is really stupid. Plot convenience, the guy is surviving his game to create the girl's game. My, it's sad. You know why? I actually stopped caring. Yes, it took me like four bad movies in a row to stop caring. But here we are. I stopped caring. Flashback was decent, I guess. The music was decent. The creative trap were fun. The action sequence was entertaining, even if it was brain dead. And that's it. Um, I felt like I was a jigsaw victim because I suffered through that movie. Really, like the spinning wheel was decent, I guess, but that's it. That's it. This is a terrible movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, don't watch it. Don't waste an hour and a half of your time. Spend it like in something else.
I'll watch it.
I don't have much more to say there because it was horrendous. um,
And you
I
all should
gave
watch this film. This is a masterpiece.
I gave this movie 5 out of 10, just like the holiday special, and the holiday special was better than this shit. What would be
You
your
are
grade out of
high.
10? What would be your grade out
Uh,
of 10?
I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. Or again, between a 4 or 4.5, around that range. I think this is the best of the sequels. Oh, did I cut off there?
No, you thought that was the best of the sequels.
Yeah, right. Sorry, but I said my rate, and I just don't know if it cut off or not. My thing's delayed right now.
Yeah,
But I said a 4 to 4.5.
that was really bad, man. I hope Spiral is better than this shit.
It was bad in an entertaining and fun way, though. Unlike the others that were just
By the way, I don't know if you have
boring.
read in the private chat, but K Dot is coming. Um, I hope it will be there soon. Um, yeah. Okay, your thing is lagging. Oh my. Um, so right now we are waiting for our guest to show up for Ahsoka. Ahsoka. So Cole will come back very soon as I am searching for my notes about Ahsoka. I cannot wait to see K Dot just popping up and joining us for the great part. K Dot. He is almost a regular, which is amazing. I will thank him a lot. K Dot is just amazing. Always there. Very reliable. Very, very reliable. We are still waiting for Cole to come back. This week is a very odd week. So, yeah. Cole is sick. We don't cover everything. And DC only has seen 2 movies. And Cole is back. And we are still waiting for K Dot to show up. So, Ahsoka. I'm glad this week was better than last week. What did you think of Ahsoka
I mean,
this week?
I think both weeks were great and the two best so far. I don't know. I don't have any issues. Well, not any issues. I mean, I don't have as many issues at all with either episodes last week and this week compared to others. And yeah, I think if they want to do a theater thing, though, they should have released both of these in theaters instead of this one. But anyway, yeah, I like the episode. I like the character stuff in this. I like the visuals and everything, and the choreography and the filmmaking and all that stuff. I like the writing in this as well. Again, the only issue is that just the emotion with a lot of these characters is not there as much at all. And I wish that would change. But outside of that, it's very well done. And I think this was another great episode. What did you think?
You know what's funny? This is a side note here, but Sabine felt missing. And here's my thought process behind it. She's the only character I care about. And this is coming from someone that doesn't care about like the extended source material. I haven't seen Rebels or even the Clone Wars, so I have no clue of anyone involved. Maybe I know Ashoka a bit more in this than the others because we have seen the Clone Wars movie. But outside of that, that's where my experience with the cast finish at. And here's the thing: Sabine has somewhat of a character arc I'm invested into, and this is why she felt missing. I like Sabine. Week 1 and 2, you know me. I didn't care about anyone. And I started caring about Sabine, I believe it was episode 3 or 4. I can't remember which episode she started her training. But whatever the episode that was in, she started her training. And this is where I was like, I care about her. I want to see more of her. So having Sabine missing is sad because I don't care about the rest of the cast. Sorry, not sorry if you're a big Ashoka fan. I think the writing is to blame. And I will agree on something that the anti-woke crowd mentioned is that Hollywood feels like they want to copy paste strong female character on everything, and this is how it feels with these characters in Star Wars. Like right now, the general is just like Ashoka, and Ashoka is just like Sabine. Sabine, I will say Sabine is a bit different because at least she has a clear um, story arc there. Ahsoka, she just feels like she's the center of action, but not because she goes into a character arc, but because the story wants her to be the center of attention. Do you know what I mean by there? Do you understand what I mean by there?
Well, I just well, I just think that the issue is they are both rewarded but also relied on people who have seen the Clone Wars show before watching this because they don't do a good job at making you care as much for this character and everything or giving her as much of an arc in this for people who aren't as familiar with this character, at least in this particular show. But because they expect everybody to already see like the Clone Wars show and such, they think that's enough, and to keep her as like the main focus, I guess, which is a mistake on their part. I think they should have developed more, but again, then they're going to do more shows where they probably do more with her, and where even people who don't haven't seen the Clone Wars will get down with it. But for now, and with this particular show or this particular season, not as much. And they also at this point might do just a prequel live action thing of the whole Clone Wars stuff, to make up for that. But I don't know. Either way, I think all that is the biggest issue with it.
Like I I I just feel like Ashoka is just there to have a main character, but she only drives the story. She doesn't have something for her in her own story. That's how I feel about Ashoka. Um, okay, let's try to give her a purpose. Um, she wants to train Sabine because she felt like she failed Sabine. Okay, that could be part of her character arc, but this week there's no Sabine, so that part is missing. Um, Now, her quest is to save Sabine and to stop these villains to achieve their goal. That's cool, but even if Ashoka succeeds in her mission and her quest, she won't evolve. She won't evolve. She won't become better and more interesting as a character. I feel like at the end of this show, Ashoka will still be Ashoka and nothing will have changed whatsoever in her character or characterization. And Sabine, regardless of what they do, except if they are really stupid and they waste her story, Sabine, by the end of this season, she will have a bit of growth. Either she will realize the Jedi way is not her way, or she will realize that she can become a Jedi despite her lack of being force sensitive or anything. Or maybe she will unlock the force. Maybe she will be more driven by the force and that kind of stuff. So by the end, as long as the writer don't forget about Sabine, I can bet she will get growth. But Ashoka, not really. Maybe she will feel success toward Sabine, but here again, she needs Sabine because her character doesn't feel like a character, if you know what I mean. And it's very sad. I really want to like this show. It's just very hard for me. But this episode is installed my favorite. I gotta admit that's installed my favorite episode. Um, so I cannot wait to see K Dot. So because here's the thing, even if it's my favorite episode, um, I don't have much more to say. My only issue is how stupid something come across to me. So the sun is too young to travel to other galaxies, but she is fine with having him with her in a possibly dangerous mission. She brought him on board to rescue Ashoka. But then the character is stupid and he's like, oh, he's too young to go to other galaxies. Are you kidding me? I want to smash the writers. Did you lost brain cell?
Yeah, again, it was could have been easy fixes like have it where I get what they're trying to do though, but they just came across it poorly. What they're trying to do is have it where yeah, she says, "Sorry, you're too young to go across, galaxies," but then trust him, but later on, by realize that he needs to grow up or whatever by and like accepting the risk by then doing that as like like a coming of age type thing or whatnot and with parents, but that or yeah something else I was gonna say one other thing right that or they would say that because I forgot did they say that he wasn't allowed to travel to different galaxies before going on that other mission or after?
After they said it this week.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. I
I,
just
it
forgot, but
broke me.
I forgot. But anyway, so I
Last
think they
week,
were. Here's the thing: they
last
were
week,
either trying to do that though, multi-topic, or the other thing then, which is that she mistakenly allowed him, like that, which do that, go on that adventure, I guess, rescuing Ahsoka, whatever, try to, which is dangerous, and then afterwards realizing the flaws, and then not allowed him to go to different galaxies, or
but
agree
no,
with him.
it doesn't come across as growth from the general. It just come across as the general as like double standard or something like that. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like a
I agree.
character arc the
What
general has.
I'm saying is that that's what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to make it so like the general and both her then realize her fault and then don't do so, and then he gets like upset or whatever, and then later on they might allow something else near the end again. That, or just they'll, or just other things like I said. But again, it didn't work though with how they did it, and also they shouldn't have just even had the general say it. It should have just been something with her saying it, like her secretly, allowed him to come on board and get it away with it, but then not allowed him to do so afterwards after realizing that, or have it where he's not allowed to travel across different galaxies first, but then late, but as the first thing in an episode, but then have this be the second thing where then she learns to stop being as protective and such. I guess they could have done just one of those two things, and that's what they were trying to do. But again, they did it poorly. I did it in a way where it made no sense and with the general character. So again, it's a flaw. I'm just saying that's what they were trying to do, but it failed miserably.
And there's a very easy fix to this shit. Very easy fix. When she says you're too young to go to other galaxies, you could add more dialogue to this and say, I did a mistake by having you on in this mission. Then, boom, you have character growth because the general realized she did a mistake to bring him with her in that mission. But no, they didn't. So far it's just character not being consistent, because last week she is willing to bring him and this week she is no longer willing, but they don't properly explain it in the freaking script and the dialogue. I lost brain cell. I was insulted. I hated this shit, and the episode was a 10 before that stupid dialogue there. It was a fucking 10 for me before that moment, but then they add this. Thank you, Disney. You're so smart. And I agree, they could have given the general character growth, but they don't. And it's funny because a great character arc for the general would be, okay, you don't listen to control, you don't listen to your bosses, you are demoted. You are demoted. But guess what? Guess what? I can bet they won't demote that general because that's wrong to demote a woman. Anyway, I just wish Ashoka was better. Ashoka, it's sad. Ashoka, Ashoka. What could have been a great TV show is disappointing because there's a lot of stupid in it. It feels like wasted potential. And just give better writer and boom, you have something relevant. Change your writing. Be smarter. Don't hire stupid people. You want a 10 out of 10 show? Hire the right staff. You need staff that really think a lot about what they are doing. And whoever is making the writing on Ashoka, I don't think they know what they are doing. Even if they demote General, I can bet they will waste the General story arc. She will have that storyline and she won't get any growth from it. I can bet that. I can bet they will freaking waste Sabine because I have no faith whatsoever in these writers. I just don't believe in them. They prove me time and time they are not competent enough to write something that makes sense. I sound like these anti woke people, but I have nuance unlike them. Not once I will say strong female character wrong. No, it's the writing. Improve your freaking writing. Hire people that know what they are doing. Now I just repeat myself. Um, but yeah, I really hope K Dot will arrive soon. The savior, the one and only. Um, so yeah, I hope K Dot has more positive things to say than me. I still have a few positive here. As I said, this episode was my favorite, and all it needed is one dialogue that was hot garbage for me to trash the shit out of it. Um, so Cole, let me know when you're back. So yeah, September is already almost over. Time flies. We will have the other topics of this week on Thursday when Cole feels better. We only have half of the topic today. Um, so yeah, Punisher, Smallville season 9. There's a bunch of stuff we need to talk about Thursday by 9 p.m. And I really hope we will have Paulus on if he is available. I really hope he will come back. I enjoyed having him on the podcast. And yeah, so Cole, are you there, Cole? Now it's been 5 minutes. um, man, Star Wars. I feel like they really want to extend and make everything bigger and longer because they feel like everything must be very long to be enjoyable. You're wrong. Some of the best stuff out there doesn't need to be like 12-hour long. Peacemaker was very enjoyable, and that was like 6 hours, 5 hours. That was 8 freaking episodes, and boom, that was over. And that was good. I like Peacemaker. So, Disney, in the future, when you plan on making other TV shows or movies, you don't need to be this long. Just be smart. So, yeah, Ashoka. Um, the more I think about this show, the worse the show becomes. It's not an even show. There are shining lights in the show, but there's also a lot of really trash things happening. Anyway, so we are still waiting for Cole to come back. So I'm looking forward. Episode 6 is there right around the corner. I really hope episode 6 is as good as 5. Maybe more. If it's better, maybe they will hook me after like 6 freaking weeks. Um, yeah. So, we are still waiting after Cole to come back. So, Ashoka this week still have a few good things to say. The fight was entertaining. The father of the kid being a Jedi was very cool. The time travel was good. Endearing moment between Master and Padawan. A child losing its innocence. The music. The world in between. Them saying maybe the general should lose her power. I really hope they will do something with this shit. Take away the general power. Make a good story arc with the general. That's like a golden opportunity to make something that makes sense. Golden. Strip away our rank. So now it's a bit more than 5 minutes. Oh my. Um, I don't have much more to say. That's the sad part. Um, Prediction of episode 6. Um, the general will lose her power. And prediction of episode 8, she will get her power back. Because we need these women to be in charge. Men are always wrong. I want Sabine back next week. Tonight, right after the podcast, I want Sabine back. Are you there, Cole?
Yeah, and I want some fucking cocaine.
Huh?
Yeah, and I want some fucking cocaine. How about that?
I don't think that this will help your cause. Oh my.
I don't care.
So do you think they will waste the general story arc, or they will strip her rank and do
Yeah,
something good with her? What do you think, Cole?
I think. I think. I think. Yeah, she'll break the rules and eventually, yeah, travel galaxy obviously with them and have that thing. Otherwise, it would be stupid and make no sense.
It's been almost an hour that K Dot said he is in his way home and he will join us once he's home.
Again, if you want, you could just you if you don't have anything planned like tonight, what you could do is you could just be we could just end it now and you could get straight to like watching stuff for next week and also Event Horizon for Thursday. Just watch the 6 films and 4 or 5 TV show stuff. Like again, you don't need to watch Black Mirror episode this week
Yeah.
if that will save you time on a movie. That's just again optional as always until we eventually get through the whole show, which could be
Yeah.
whenever. But yeah, you could just do that right now. We could end it right now, and when K Dot returns home, you could just then immediately put everything like on pause and then just start up like an extra bonus one for like 30 minutes discussing it and asking him questions if you want.
Yeah. I think I will be a bit too tired because I will be honest, I'm tired as well.
I see.
My sleep in the last week was kind of trash. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess now is the right time for the grade out of 10. What would be your grade out of 10?
I'll give it another 8.
For me, this is heartbreaking. As I said, that was a 10 out of 10 until the stupid happened. And you know what stupid is. So for me, that's a 9.7 out of 10. I really like that episode, and I also enjoyed a lot the fact that war was depicted as a serious thing. and the idea of a child losing her innocence when she witnessed war
Mhm.
and the atrocity of war. I think that was
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah, and this single episode of them doing that stuff was somehow done better than all the garbage attempts at this type of stuff in Solo and in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's just amazing. But then you got stupid writer doing stupid shit. Um, so I just think Ahsoka is not consistent at all, and it makes me so sad because when I watch something, I want to enjoy it. Now I will mention Andor here. Um, I thought Andor was very consistent. It wasn't my cup of tea,
Yeah,
and I thought like most of the show was very average. But at no point I felt like we had like 10 writers doing 10 freaking different things.
yeah. I
Now
mean,
maybe I
I like the
contradict
show a
what I
lot,
said.
but yeah.
Maybe I contradict what I said in the stream, but I feel like Andor was much more consistent than
Hmm.
Ashoka.
Yeah, I mean,
Ashoka, there's
I like the show a lot, but I understand if you just don't think it's that special. But yeah, that's the one they know, and it's at least consistent, and they don't have like too many stupid like plot things like that.
yeah. Um, Ashoka had a terrible episode with episode 4, but then we have that
Hmm.
masterpiece with episode 5.
I mean, I don't think episode 4 is terrible. I don't see what you mean by that, but
Don't you
uh,
remember how much I added some roast there? Like,
yeah, and I still don't understand the roasts. But anyway, what I will say though is there's one thing that I might be able to do to defend the issue you have with episode 5. It's that I think with her or whatever, like allowing him to do that despite it being dangerous. Again, it's dangerous. Maybe she shouldn't have done that as a mother, but again, in this universe, you can't be too protective. And I think that was the seed of her now just like taking risks and understanding that. But then you're asking, obviously, your complaint is that why, did it allow him to like go across galaxies, but then allowed him to do that dangerous thing prior? Is that your issue, right?
yeah, it's like
Well,
like ten
here's the
minutes
thing.
ago she says something,
Mhm.
and now she says something else.
Well, this is the defense I think I have for it, which is that while what they did prior was dangerous, it wasn't breaking protocol. That is, and if
But
it
it's still
wasn't,
stupid.
no, but if it wasn't, then she would allow it. But I think the reason that they're trying to get it at is that because she still obeys, like the rules and everything, and like the guild and whatnot, with her as a character. So despite being the same like levels or less dangerous at that, it's to show that that's how strict she is with following by it still, and being like the one thing she knows herself as with like following that and stuff, and with her role and everything. And they
But
showed that in like episode 3, and they showed that in episode 3 and such with the meeting. And then I think what will happen is they'll show in like episode 6 or 7 then her finally breaking that and not just obeying by that and realizing that it doesn't matter, and then doing that. I think that's what it's doing in this episode.
my question is, how is traveling um, to another galaxy is more dangerous than going to rescue Ashoka from Sith's
No, no, it
people?
isn't that it's more dangerous. It's the
They
fact
they
that
specify it's too dangerous. This is the word they use. The mother told the son, "It's too dangerous for you. You are too young to go to other galaxies. It's too dangerous." This is what she said, and it
well,
felt so stupid.
one defense there, number one, because well, while that stuff where that while that fighting and everything was going on, she's used to that and that area. That's where they grew up in, and she flew around it a lot. So because of that, it's safe in her eyes because she's experienced enough where nothing bad will happen, sort of like an experienced driver on the road. But going into another galaxy, I mean, that's not your home turf. You don't know what will happen. There could be anything that just happens at another point, like like a pirate or something, like in the Mandalorian season 3. So I think that's why it's more dangerous in their eyes, what they're saying. But also, secondly, again, I think she's also, even if it wasn't, which I think it is, if you think of it like that, I think she's also a little bit just using it as a cover up because, again, it breaks protocol, but the first one didn't. And she, again, as her character following by that. And then in episode 6 or 7, it will change by her then breaking it finally. And which they also had like scenes developing it or showing it in episode 3 in like the one meeting room. So that's what I can say. Like the best I can say with like defending it.
And you know what?
Is that good enough for you?
Nah, not really. No, I just think the writer are just
Like, well,
stupid.
you don't think it's more dangerous after hearing that? I
I
mean,
think
I'm
just
not
bringing
saying
a
the writers aren't
child.
stupid. They definitely weren't smart enough to think of this.
I I'm saying like just bringing a child there is dangerous, and just that it's freaking retard. How a mother would freaking do this shit? I just don't get it. It's
Well, again,
nonsensical.
it might be dangerous for a lot of people, but not her with her profession and her experience. It might be pretty safe for her, just like an experienced driver. And then again, that's the other stuff to explain why going to a new galaxy is more
It's
dangerous because of all that.
it's like saying, okay,
Again,
Oliver Queen Green
I'm
Arrow
not saying it
is
isn't stupid because they definitely didn't have the IQ to
it's
do that.
it's like Green Arrow Oliver Queen just bring William out on the field, and he's like, "Oh, I'm experienced enough to protect you and f people around." No, it just doesn't work. Oh
Again,
my,
I'm not saying it. It works. I'm just saying that's what they went for, and I mean, she is experienced with that. Where in her eyes, in her view, it's safe, but in the other galaxy, again, it's they don't know what's out there, so it's more dangerous in her eyes and being more familiar with everything, even if there's shooting and stuff going on. So again, that's like what they mean. Again, I'm not saying it isn't stupid because again, the writers 100% did not think about that anyway. They are too stupid to do so. But I'm just saying, you could come up with that, defense if you wanted to.
there's plenty of ways you can find stuff to defend that position, but in the show itself, it just doesn't add up. That's the thing. Like, I can find many ways to explain that, but I'm not the writer. The writer should be the one that brings up just what you said, for example. Like, that could be a good thing if the writer thought of it, but they didn't. And it just comes across as a character contradict herself. She's cautious when the plot wants her to be cautious. I want more Sabine next week. Um, Sabine felt missing. Um, so yeah, that was it for today. Um, I had a blast despite having a very odd week. We will still talk later Thursday. I hope you will get better by Thursday. Rest very well. Swallow the syrup. I don't know, like the cure for youth and stuff. Um, man, thank you very much for your time and dedication. You are very reliable, and I'm glad of that. And thank you very much, man. And as I said, if you find anyone's that could be interested into the other podcast, let me know, man. Let me know.
For
Um,
sure, but again, just get to watching everything. So hopefully we catch up Again,
Yeah,
next week it will be right. It will be Minority Report, which is the last of the films in that universe type thing.
universe.
Yep,
Yeah,
the Crystal Skull, Saw 3D, Jigsaw, and Past Lives, and which is then when we'll start doing more 2023 films again. And we'll have
and
like the two slots or whatever for that stuff.
and
But yeah.
you know what's funny? I actually had seen Minority Report many years ago. I liked it a lot, but I can't remember that much. All I remember is they like arrest people for crimes they didn't commit yet. That's the only
Mhm.
thing I remember from the movie, and that really stuck in my mind. I'm excited to
Yeah.
rewatch this. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, take care of yourself. Have a good night, and we will talk later.